But with that said, thank you for watching. See you in, hopefully not 2 months. Hopefully not 2 months. Hopefully not 2 months. Hi, my name is Sundari Lobster. Do you enjoy shoujo manga? Do you like mental netterare? Do you like misunderstandings? What about MS Paint artwork? Are you fond of ocean fauna?
Who was the cowboy who confronted Johnny and Larry that night?
Because, generally speaking, I'm not, but even still, I actually love Mousou Telepathy. Mousou Telepathy is a pretty standard setting. Introverted and indecisive MC Ayato Natano realizes her cool and composed classmate Hayato Toda has a crush on her, and the story has a pretty standard shoujo rom-com slice of life thing going for it. The twist is that, as the name would imply, Ayato is a telepath and can constantly see the thoughts of everyone around her whether she wants to or not. And because of this, the early chapters mainly revolve around her dealing with Hayato's mainly one-sided attraction towards her while constantly being bombarded by his thoughts, most of which tend to just frustrate her. And it's because of this aspect that what would otherwise be a pretty plain and generic story becomes actually pretty engaging and interesting, with a solid mix of genuine wholesome character development with a kind of absurd, unique sense of humor. It takes something that would normally be pretty plain and gives you a look into it that you don't normally see. Plenty of stories have thought bubbles to show you what characters are thinking, but it's not very often that characters' internal thoughts and monologues are an actual important part of how the main character sees them and how they grow. Its humor is a lot less reliant on the usual tropes that you see in anime and manga, and a lot more on the natural absurdity of wandering thoughts, like showing a character's mind drifting between ideas until a stray thought catches you off guard all of a sudden. And despite the artwork seemingly being plain at first glance, it's actually very effective, and even one of the reasons that I don't think this will ever work as an anime. The artwork has a greater purpose than just showing you the story and what's happening. It's Ayato's mind state. You notice that her own thoughts are always gray and the real world is black and white, reflecting her slightly depressed, reclusive mindset. But when she's looking at other people's minds, the story suddenly becomes full color or a mix of color when it's showing different characters' thoughts. And after a while, you start to know which character is having which thoughts just by the color palette. It feels so natural and obvious to read, but it's just such a creative way of doing it that I really can't imagine the story without it. Sometimes Ayato will be separated from the others or spending time alone, and after a few chapters you really start to feel the darker, more lonely tone as the complete lack of color sets in. You might not even notice it at first. It's used in a lot of very natural ways to mess with the reader sometimes, like when the inevitable beach chapter occurs, but it's entirely in the mind of a character imagining it, only for Ayato to decline the plotline entirely. Also, I'd like to take this moment to appreciate that the longer I read this series, the more I could watch my carded ads slowly changing from normal stuff to kind of weird to just straight up Natatu.
I hear her voice in the morning hours, she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the...
Getting back to the characters though, like I said, this story relies a lot on misunderstandings, which can be frustrating at times. It's one of those things where a good share of the problems can literally be solved by the characters just talking, which often is how they get solved. Nearly every character, even outside of the main two, has a nice balance of positive and negative aspects, like Monami's manipulative and more vindictive nature contrasting with her genuine care for Ayato, or the later addition of Shimazu, who serves as a way to sort of subvert the love triangle expectation. Even if characters aren't particularly deep, they're all three-dimensional with their own individual positive and negative aspects, which is really all a series like this needs. Another thing I really liked about it is its pacing. Mousou Telepathy is a daily webcomic, meaning that even if it does have plenty of overarching plotlines, every single day has a development. There's no wasted panels or repetitive dialogue. Every chapter is short and effective. On my first reading, I got through the first 300 chapters in a day because it just kept going and going, and I always knew the next page would have something that I wanted to see. I honestly can't see this getting an anime adaptation, and really, I don't think I want it to. It's something made explicitly for its medium with fantastic art direction that just wouldn't work in an anime. Even if the first 40 or so pages can get a bit repetitive and samey with the humor going in a cycle of Hayato's thoughts bothering Ayato, I honestly think that if you can make it through the early bits, then you'll be in for one of the best manga like it out there. And out of all my manga recommendations on the channel, this is probably my strongest one so far. So should you read Mousou Telepathy? Absolutely.